The Dodge Omni is one of those cars that might not look like much at first glance, but when you take a closer look at its story, you realize just how important it was in shaping American automotive history. Produced from 1978 to 1990, the Dodge Omni became a symbol of practicality, affordability, and a new direction for Chrysler during a time when the auto industry was struggling with rising fuel costs and foreign competition. This little hatchback was Dodge's answer to small, efficient cars from Europe and Japan, and it made a big impact in the United States. When the Omni was introduced, the American car market was in a major shift. Big V8 muscle cars were falling out of favor, and people were looking for smaller, fuel-efficient options. Dodge stepped into this market with the Omni, which was actually heavily inspired by European hatchbacks. The design was based on a platform from Chrysler Europe, giving it a very different look and feel compared to the massive sedans and coupes most Americans were used to seeing. The Omni was compact, boxy, and incredibly practical, with a hatchback design that made it versatile for families, students, and anyone looking for an affordable everyday car. One of the key strengths of the Dodge Omni was its fuel efficiency. During the late 70s and early 80s, gas prices were rising and people needed cars that could stretch every gallon. The Omni delivered exactly that, with 4-cylinder engines that were reliable and frugal. While it wasn't a speed demon in its base form, the Omni made up for it with functionality, low running costs, and ease of maintenance. It became one of Dodge's best-selling models and gave Chrysler a much-needed win in a tough market. But what really makes the Omni stand out in car culture is not just its role as a fuel saver, but its unexpected performance legacy. In the early 1980s, Chrysler teamed up with none other than Carroll Shelby, the legendary performance tuner, to create the Dodge Omni GLH. The name GLH stood for Goes Like Hell, and it lived up to the title. Shelby transformed the little economy hatchback into a true pocket rocket by giving it more horsepower, sportier suspension, and a lightweight, no-nonsense attitude. The later GLHS version, which stood for Goes Like Hell S'more, pushed the limits even further, with a turbocharged engine that shocked everyone who thought of the Omni as just a simple grocery getter. The Dodge Omni GLH and GLHS have since become cult classics, often seen as some of the earliest American hot hatches. They proved that even a humble, budget-friendly car could be turned into a performance machine that could take on much more expensive sports cars of its era. That Shelby connection alone cemented the Omni's place in automotive history, because it showed Chrysler wasn't afraid to take risks and inject excitement into an otherwise practical car. Another interesting fact about the Omni is that it helped set the stage for Dodge's future performance cars. The spirit of the Omni GLH carried over into other turbocharged Dodge models in the 80s and 90s, making turbo performance a big part of Dodge's identity long before modern SRT models came along. Today, enthusiasts look back at the Omni not just as a cheap hatchback, but as a pioneer that blended practicality with surprising performance potential. Even in its base form, the Dodge Omni represented a turning point for American car buyers. It was one of the first domestically produced cars that embraced the hatchback body style, which had been more popular in Europe. It gave American families a new kind of flexibility, with a small footprint for city driving but a spacious interior that could handle cargo. It's fair to say the Omni helped pave the way for the acceptance of hatchbacks and smaller cars in the US. Looking back now, the Dodge Omni might not turn heads the way a Dodge Viper or Charger does, but its legacy is undeniable. It was a survivor of a tough era, it proved Chrysler could adapt, and it gave birth to one of the coolest sleeper performance cars of the 80s with the Shelby Edition. For collectors and enthusiasts today, finding a clean Omni or, even better, a Shelby GLH is like discovering a hidden piece of history. It's a reminder that cars don't always need to be flashy or expensive to be important, they just need to make an impact. So whether you see it as an affordable hatchback that saved Chrysler in the late 70s, or as a turbocharged legend